Good evening, YouTube. It's been a little while, but I'm back to do something I'm kind of excited to do for you. One of the hardest jobs of doing pipe restoration, by far the most tedious part, is stem oxidation. It's pretty much the worst. When you have a stem that should look like this, but it looks like this. There's just nothing great about it. It's the hardest to do, it takes the longest, it's really time consuming. There are a couple products out there that claim to be able to solve it with a, rub-on compound. You have this product from Decatur that someone has bought me. I have tried this a bunch of times, and I just had to say, I'm sorry, Decatur, it doesn't work. It doesn't do hardly anything. Maybe if you had a pipe that you bought brand new and just failed to, keep some oil or lip balm or whatever you use to maintain the very bit of your stem, and it just got a little dull, maybe it would bring that back. But if you got an oxidized stem that's, that's this color, it's not helping you at all. So I have two new products. I'm going to review one of them today. It is this right here called Before and After Deoxidizer. It's from a pen company. I think it's called Belle Pen, I want to say is the name. I'm sorry if I got it wrong. It's produced by a gentleman named Mark Hoover, who claims he has developed this product that actually removes oxidation from vulcanized rubber. He uses it for pens. He's developed it for vintage and antique fountain pens, which are made of the same rubber before plastics that your pipe stems are made out of. So I've done it. I've tried it on a couple today. It seems to work all right, but I got something really heavy duty to put it on that I wanted to share with you guys, so you can watch and see how it works. I think this bottle, this little 4 or 6 ounce bottle, cost me $18, I think, and then a couple dollars to ship it. Not super cheap. He claims it will do 45 to 50 pipes in the method that he prescribes. I am not using the method he prescribes right now, which is to pour this whole bottle in a jar and use the jar to submerge like a dozen pipe stems at a time in. I'm not doing that right now. I might try it later, but the couple I've tried it on today, I've just been using. I have one in the bin here. You can see this little K-Woody. I've just been rubbing it on with a Q-tip, and I found it's thick enough that it stays on pretty well. And I have a feeling it will stretch a lot longer with a little brush-on application than dunking all of your dirty stems in a jar of your brand new oxidation remover. I did put it in a jar as he prescribed, so this is it. It's kind of yellowish. It smells super strongly of ammonia, and to the degree that I feel there's probably some ammonia in it. It smells pretty strongly of it, but it's also pretty viscous, pretty thick, almost jello-y, gelatinous. So here's the pipe I'm going to share with you to review this product. I have this Peterson, what's the model? I forget, I'm sorry. This Peterson Mark Twain. It's a deluxe model, with the tapered tenon and the sterling band. It's in pretty good shape. I took it in trade from a friend on Facebook for a couple vintage cellar tobacco tins I had. It's going to a local slow smoke competition for the prize table. I'm handing this off to them, and I just told them I need to finish it. So I wanted you to get a good look at what we're dealing with. Here's your the bulk of your stem oxidation. It's pretty ugly. And then the rest of it, you can see the paint in the inlay is mostly already gone. This product claims to not hurt stamped inlays, painted stamped inlays whatsoever, or any metal inlays. It's not going to matter a lot on this one. Although after I get the oxidation off, I may hit that with some nail polish to try to fill that back in and see if I can get that Peterson P to stand out a little more. But you get a good shot of some of the oxidized spots we're dealing with. It's a pretty ugly stem. Looks like it used to have one of those mouth things on it, maybe. That makes, I always think those make oxidation worse in my experience. But so that's what we have. I'm gonna apply this right now, and then I'm gonna dunk it and just put it in, drop it in my bowl here, and I'll come back and show you take it out, and I'll show you me taking it out and scrubbing everything off. So the directions basically claim you take this product, he says it's best if you dunk your whole stem in the jar. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to take a Q-tip like this, and I'm going to apply it by hand, and then I'm going to leave the stem in this little bowl just to set. It sticks really well. It doesn't drip or run. And then he says after, you need to leave it about 20 minutes, and then in about 20 minutes time you come with a washcloth or a scrap of t-shirt, and you just really vigorously, wipe the stem off with a rag. To give it a little more horsepower on the scrubbing, on the rubbing of the stuff off, I'm going to use microfiber because it's just what I usually use. I have big stacks of these that I buy for cheap for specifically this purpose. So that's the plan. So all you're going to see now, we're going to put this on, and then we'll take a break and we'll come back when it's time to take it off. You can see a blob of it. It's almost like honey. And we're just going to put it on there pretty good. I will say, at first application, you see it actually starts to pull brown coloring off of your oxidized stem immediately, just as you start rubbing the Q-tip around. So we'll take that as a good sign, I guess. And I'm going to be pretty liberal with it because he says to dunk it. I know that I'm already not following his exact instructions by not submerging it. So but I guess my thinking was, I tried one with wiping it on, and my thinking was I'm going to start simple and small and then get more extreme with the application of it from there. And if it gets all the way to needing to dunk it to get the result I need, then so be it. So one cool thing so far, it definitely does a number on this cotton for sure, is you get a chance to apply a deoxidizing product to this little lip right there and onto your tenon even, which is normally areas that you do not get a chance to take oxidation out of very easily without risking the losing the fitment of your mortise and tenon joint. So but this is just a apply and then rub off product, wipe off. So there it is, we're fully coated. I'm just going to drop this here in this bowl and be on my way, and I'll be back a little later to show you what it looks like. Alright, it's been about 25 to 30 minutes. that this has been on. We'll see what happens. Well, it did not take all of it out. Like I said, I've done this to a couple stems already that came out pretty good, but they were not as deeply or badly oxidized as this one. But you can see, you know, that we've definitely put a dent in the oxidation around the mouth piece, around, you know, around the bit area, especially on that bottom edge of the P-lip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another application and leave it. One thing about the military stems, you know, is you will get an oxidation line right where they sit at the end of the shank that's on the tenon, so that's always kind of a difficult spot as well. So I'm going to do another application, put this on. You can see where it hit the tenon that actually is covered in the mortise. It looks really good right here. It's very black and fresh. So I'm going to do another application and see what happens. Alright, so there's one more. Just drop it, see what happens. Might even give that one a little longer than 20. I've had this K Woody stem sitting out here for definitely probably like an hour in this stuff at this point. K Woodies are notoriously difficult to restore because they didn't use super high grade Vulcanite, in my experience. When they get old enough and with enough exposure, those are those ones you get if you do stem restoration where the Vulcanite gets little pits in it, and they're so hard to get out. It's near impossible most of the time. Yeah. So this one did better in some areas than in others, but it's definitely still oxidized. This still needs to be sanded at this point. So one thing I might try, just for the sake of the experiment, is take this guy and do what Mr. Hoover says to do, which is to dunk it. Yeah, let's do it that way. Let's see what happens. So, we'll dunk them both in there, which is the way he says this works best. And I'll leave them for a little while, maybe a half hour, and come back. I'm going to close this because it stinks and I do not want it to spill. See you later. Alright. I definitely left these in a little longer than I anticipated. It's probably been an hour or so. So let's see what we got here. Definitely a serious improvement. You can see it wasn't submerged all the way, it only made it up to about here. And so you can see the difference where this is the untreated part. And this was all submerged for longer than instructed. It's pretty good improvement. I would say that's 2 treatments. I'll come back tomorrow and give this So with a little polish. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but let's just hit with a little brown Tripoli. It's a big improvement from where we started, for sure. I wouldn't accept that as enough. I still see, you know, a little bit of grayish kind of hue in there that needs to be taken out. But I might try it even again, a third treatment. But if it has to be sanded after that, then so be it. I think it didn't fully do the job on this stem so far, but it did a lot of work by just dropping it in a jar. That's for sure. So can't complain about that, I suppose, if it at least gets you a jump start on the sanding labor. That's where the tedious labor is in the stems, is sanding. If you get a good look at it, you can see the discolored spot there where some of the gross of the stem is just leached into there. That's why I was trying to do it by applying it with a Q-tip, so I wouldn't have to soil a whole jar of this stuff. But at this point, I just need to prove that whether or not it works, and go from there. This is the other little K woody I had in there. It wasn't in as bad a shape, but not really as nice of Vulcanite either, like I mentioned earlier. One thing that's very nice, it's definitely completely safe for your stem inlays. If you've ever worked on a K woody stem especially, they are they're weird. They're like a little die punched hole with that clover in it, and then they fill it with something. I'm not exactly sure what they used originally, but the first couple times I worked on them, even a little bit of heat, like if you apply too much heat, this stuff just turns into like chalk, and it just, the heat will just compress it out and squish it, and that white stuff will just crumble and be gone, and you won't have it anymore. It's pretty hard to replace. So it doesn't do any damage to that. This one doesn't really look markedly better than before the soak. Like, this is just a stem, and it might be the quality of the rubber. You know, I'm just gonna have to sand this. It's gonna be the only way to get it where it needs to go at this point. But I just wanted to get one to try it and see what happens. So overall, I'm gonna do one more soak on this Peterson stem tomorrow. I'll be back to show you the results of that. I gotta go to bed right now, but that's a wipe on, wipe off treatment, and then a soak treatment for an hour. And it was probably actually, it's probably a couple hours actually. I left it in there a long time. It's better for sure, but still not done the whole job. I'll do one more tomorrow and see what happens to it, and if not, I'll get to work sanding it, and you'll at least see how much it diminished the labor I would have had to do, because there was definitely a lot of sanding labor waiting for me in this stem. That's it. Mark Hoover, good product. So far, it seems like it's at least helpful. It doesn't do nothing, so that's good. That's an improvement over the Decatur product that I've tried before. Alright, I'll show you the rest next time. Alright, so as I said, we're back with the final result of the before and after oxidizer from LB Pen. I showed you the first couple, but this is after the third application where I let it soak again. And this stem was pretty uniformly oxidized and then really severe up at the bit. So it took that really severe white oxidation off the bit area pretty easily, and then we saw that it was definitely an improvement. I wouldn't say that the third application really did anything more. So it would seem that maybe 2 applications of it is about the best that you're going to get, and it didn't seem to help it anymore after that, after letting it sit for a third one for a while. So you can see it here, and this is a military stem, so it's tapered, so it's like the Peterson deluxe style. So part of it, the tenon is oxidized as well, this little strip at the top where it's exposed. And so it may look pretty well from here, but I wanted to show you the difference, and I'm just going to dunk it in a little bit of water that usually exposes the oxidation, and you'll get a view of the color difference. So here you can see the brown up there, and then down here you can see the very distinct oxidized strip at the top of the tenon there. And what I did was to show you the the difference. We broke it. I sanded. I took a 1000 grit and I sanded part of the oxidation off the strip there. So as I turn it, you can see where it's been sanded away. And that's what we want to see before we actually put this back to, put this back under some wax and polish again. I want it to look like that. I dip it in water, which does a good job of showing me, of revealing the oxidized areas. And I want to see all black. I don't want to dip it in water. Even if it looks good to the naked eye, that water bath will show you what has been missed and what still needs to be gotten there. And so this is what I'm looking for, the tenon right there. So 2 applications, both helped. The third one I don't think did anything more than what the first 2 had accomplished. And so I still have to take some sandpaper to this. Now I will say it didn't take much sanding. It only took a few passes to get that off with, and that was with 1000 grit. So from 1000 grit sandpaper, you don't have to do anything else. If you have brown Tripoli, that will take out 1000 grit and wet or dry sanded, and then white diamond that I use here. So if I go I can do 1 pass of sandpaper, which is what I usually try to do. I try to do 1000 grit followed by brown Tripoli compound and then white diamond compound, and then wax on my drill press up there and a buff. And so I can do a few passes with 1000 grit and get the rest of this out without harming the shape and fit and finish of the tenon, and that'll be great. And that's enough to also not really mess up your transition. This doesn't apply because this pipe doesn't have a fitted, a flush transition with the shank. But if you have one that is, like, if you're working on a standard guy like this, a few passes, if all you have to do is make a few passes with 1000 grit on the end of your stem, you're not really going to hurt this transition very much, which is usually the big thing you want to avoid if you're trying to refurbish a stem, deoxidize a stem. let's say your stummel's in really good shape, you don't really want to have to sand your stummel down and re-dye it anywhere or touch it up. It just needs to be polished and re-waxed. That's a good way to avoid making the little dip or the little shoulder that sometimes gets there from sanding a stem with when you start at low grits and work your way all the way up to 12,000 or whatever. You can hit it with a little bit of 1,000 grit and then polish it, and it usually still comes out really flush and it fits really well. So that is what I have to do. So I guess my conclusion on the before and after deoxidizer from LB Pen is I would say I would say it does what it claims, but not to the degree that it claims to do it. So it claims to remove oxidation really of any severity. It does say some rubbers are of lesser quality than others, and some oxidation is more severe than others. So he does mention that and say, but to that he says it may take a few applications in order for his product to do the job. And this is 3 applications, and the third didn't make any noticeable difference. No, I didn't see any noticeable difference after the second application. And so I'm not going to continue to apply product that I paid for that doesn't appear that it's going to continue to help at all. So I guess what I would say is it seems like it's definitely the most effective product that I've used that makes this claim so far. There are a lot of them, and I don't have good experience with any of them, and this one actually made a difference and actually did something significant to the oxidation on this stem. So I would say it does what it claims to do. It doesn't live up to the degree that it claims to be able to do, to remove oxidation from any vulcanized rubber product, pens or pipe stems or otherwise. Even with it, just enough, you just do enough applications and it will eventually work. So you're still left with a little bit of the old traditional sanding and polishing work to do, but it has done a significant amount of the legwork for me, and that's really that's something, and I would say that's worth paying for if you decide you would like to try this product out. I would say give it a shot. Don't expect it to be a miracle, but it definitely carries a lot of muscle on the Vulcanite oxidation. So check it out. If you pick some up, let me know what you think, or if you have more experience with this and something that I should have tried and didn't do with this product. Let me know in the comments or otherwise, and I'd be happy to give it a shot on another stem. Until then, I'm gonna get to work finishing this one up so I can send it off for the long smoke prize table that it belongs at in November. That's what I gotta say. Before and after deoxidizer from LB Pen from Mark Hoover. I would say it's a good product. I would not, if you buy it, just not expect it to do exactly what it says it will do to that degree. It's not a miracle pill, but it is pretty good overall, and I would say even worth the cost. It's about $18 for this, I think, 4-ounce bottle, and then he sells a larger bottle, and I would pay that again for it to do this for me. So that's all I got on the before and after deoxidizer. I have another one. I'm going to be reviewing the deoxidizer paste from Walker Briarworks next, and so I have to find another stem that will be a good candidate for that, and I'll make another video showing the before and after results of that. That's all. Until next time, Peterson's. Grace, peace, and pipes.